another hand for Daniel. The purple Beetle's Dharma talk. So, who would imagine that I would receive a Dharma talk from above? So this is a tale that begins with a twist of faith and friendship. I was fortunate enough to be given the opportunity to go to Southeast Asia this year with a dear friend of mine, and we found ourselves in northern Thailand. And one of the great characteristics of a traveling companion is your ability to travel together and travel solo. So we chose a day to travel solo, and I wanted to go to Doi Yên Than, which is the tallest peak in northern Thailand. And I went up to this peak, and it's covered in jungle and mist, and it's wonderful and it's beautiful. And as you head down the peak, the king and queen of Thailand have seen it for themselves, since they've been reigning for 60 years, to build themselves 2 chetties. This is the queen's chetty, which is essentially a steeple with a shrine, a Buddhist shrine underneath. The king's is red and gold and, very kingly. Here's the queen's, and it's purple, So you can imagine which one I went to. No, it didn't have anything to do with queen. I just like purple. So these are sacred places. I took off my shoes. It was very quiet. It was only me in there, and I walked around this shrine. And in stonework, all through the shrine is the story of Buddha's marriage to his wife, and I'm reverently observing all of this. And as I'm walking around, I happen to notice on the ground, there's a beetle, a big one, with horns, on its back, doing this. Now I stopped for a second. Do I intervene? Am I supposed to do anything? Or I do. Kind of in my blood and my profession. I help you. So I get my sock, and I kind of begin to inch the little fella up onto my sock so he can crawl up. And my idea is I'm going to kind of shuffle him out towards the door. Now, fact, all insects and reptiles in Asia talk. Yes, the cartoons are true. This fella went, I'm not kidding. Literally, that's what he did. And so I have this beetle on my foot, and we're walking out, shuffling towards the door. And he falls off. And so I have to kind of repeat the pattern. I'll show you a little bit about what it looks like inside here. I have to repeat the pattern, get him back on up there. I'm getting close to the door, and he falls off again. But as I'm doing this, some Chinese tourists come in, and I go, okay, this is awkward. They might not quite understand what's going on here, so I very gently move my friend off to the side. And I decide, well, it's a perfect time to meditate in front of Buddha and kind of think about what all this means. And so, they come in, and they take their pictures, and there, on the right, that's the beetle. It's stupid. It's proof. So I meditate, and they eventually leave, but a groundskeeper comes in. And the groundskeeper begins sweeping around the stupa. And as I'm meditating, I'm hearing the sound of the sweep and the broom, the sweep and the broom, and I go, oh no. And then I hear, and then she goes, oh, stop it. And they go, and she carries it outside. And then I hear, dum. It's done. So I'm sitting there in front of Buddha going, I tried. I think I did what I was supposed to do, but I don't know. I'm stumped. Help me. I'm looking up at the Buddha, and I hear coming from behind me, a beetle hits the Buddha, tumbles down, winds up on its back. do with this is what I did at the moment my jaw was agape, and I didn't know how to process it. But what I believe was happening here was an example of there are patterns and things happening in the universe that are far bigger, more complicated than we can understand. And this beetle probably understood that better than I could. It was its Dharma to be on its back. And I just had to let that be. But I was an actor in that. There are invisible clockworks that involve us in ways that we'll never know. All the random things that happen to us in our lives that we struggle with that don't seem to make sense. All these unconnected dots. Tourist and stranger and groundskeeper and chetty. But yet, if you put it in the right tool and you focus, you can begin to see the pattern. You can begin to see it all does make sense. It's kind of like a kaleidoscope when you think about it, where you see these interweaving patterns through your life, that all this randomness has a purpose. Though we may not understand it, the more you turn it, the more you can see how intricately you are a part of this cycle.